Hello, this is the Abbott, Sincere Black Hand, and I just wanted to discuss a topic which is near and dear to my heart. First and foremost, I want to warn all of the youth about gang related activities within our city. Now, let me start off by saying I believe that when the original organizations were founded, it was not for the miscellaneous activity that we have today. It was for the protection of our communities, the protection of our elders, and the protection of our children, because law enforcement would not truly, and by the law, protect the marginalized citizens. That's how Crips, Bloods, and other organizations sprung up. Community activism. So before I begin to really start to speak negative on today's organizations, I had to start by telling the truth. Shout out, you understand, and much respect to Larry Hoover, the Honorable, Jeff Fort. There are so many, that I can, pay homage to. But this is not why I'm making this video. See, at one time, I was affiliated within an organization, and most in my town know what organization that it was. You understand where I'm coming from? And when we would, travel to other places, I ain't get nothing but love, and I ain't see nothing but respect. But in my hometown, there was so much jealousy due to lack of intelligence, due to lack of fortification, standing up for yourself. We had individuals that were just in the organization so that they could get girls and seem cool. The individuals that was in those organizations that wanted to get nonprofits, LLC, that really wanted to push the political agenda of the organization, they were suppressed and shunned, because the ones that's 9 times out of 10 that's doing the most miscellaneous activities, those are the ones that most likely are involved with law enforcement, either directly or indirectly. What I mean by indirectly is their actions are so miscellaneous. They react instead of respond, that they leave the law enforcement everything that they need to know just because they don't know how to carry themselves. So I just warn those youth again, man. This gang stuff is washed up. I don't care if it's a Blood, Crip, a GD, a Vice Lord, or it's a traditional, you understand, like homegrown gang. When you have individuals that are power hungry, that will power trip, that will hurt you just to maintain that power, that's not an organization. Y'all are worshiping that man. And no one is worthy of worship except God. So this is not a bash against the gangs. This is a bash against those that are in organizations that are brainwashing our youth, that are getting them locked up for astronomical amounts of time, football numbers. We're talking about individuals that don't impress upon the youth to educate yourself. You understand? To read, to study, to research, to use your critical thinking ability. So, especially in Wilson County, and I'm willing to debate with any gang member, as long as it ain't no weapons, as long as we are using our intellect to address our agreements, I'm not running. I'm looking for any of you to sit down and have a civilized conversation about the detriment that some of y'all persist on carrying on in my city.
From the last couple years, it's been, if you've been looking at the newspaper, how y'all use the young boys, and then y'all end up, maybe in the system with what you got going on, because y'all know they're young and they minds ain't mature enough, so y'all can grab them young, especially if they ain't got a lot of people around them. Like, we got to do better. I'm just seeing people go down. I'm seeing dudes just do anything, and I ain't just I'm not tight. This ain't about being mad. It's just the truth. And if the truth hurts, do some research or look it up. But let's do better. Let's not let the kids go through what we went through. We got to be better as a people. But it's some dudes that's in it for the entirely wrong reasons. And it's so washed up. I wish and I pray that somebody hear this and change their mind, or say, you know what? I can be better than that. What about the political game? that really need to be talked about so we really can get some help and make changes around here.
I know you remember, bro, when I was pushing the political issue about community revitalization, about addressing these dilapidated homes, I got more backlash and hate from the gangs than it was from the municipal powers.
Jealous.
They at least act like they was concerned.
Jealous.
So how, if one of your points on whatever supposed to be political, why aren't you being an effective political force? Not for y'all gang, but for our community. What happened to community redevelopment and progress? What happened to real growth and development? Y'all boys get at me, man. We don't have to do it the violent way, because what I found, when you lack intelligence, you have to resort to insults. Let's build God consciousness and peace.
Peace and love.